Hey everybody! It looks like my chat's there. We got a few people in my chat. Lawrence's chat will come up here in a second when they'll all wake up. There's Criken waving. Criken looks like he just woke up because I think he just did. Criken doesn't know where he is.
I'm miming what I do when I wake up. There you go.
You just wave randomly.
Welcome to our podcast. Criken doesn't want me to talk to the internet, but I'll talk to
I like that name better.
our podcast.
What is that thing? Yes. What is that thing that like iMovie does when you make a new project?
Oh,
like,
yeah.
My new movie.
My movie, or yeah.
Yeah. My new podcast.
It's funny because I've seen comments, even on the current, like this podcast, we'll put it up, like I'll put it up on Friday, and somebody in the comments will say on YouTube, you guys should start a podcast. And I'm like, that's what this is. We've been doing it for like 23 weeks now. This is a podcast. People talking.
This is a podcast. That's also better titled than what we have.
That's already taken. I'm sure somebody's already taken. This is a podcast.
Okay.
I think for it to be an official podcast, you need a canned intro. You need some kind of ritualistic call out. You need a little musical sting that bleeds away in the first minute or so.
Yeah.
You need a stamps.com sponsorship. You need a Casper mattress sponsorship. So
Well, we got the
NordVPN. We got the
Nord.
That, tick one off the list there. We're working on it. We're working on it, guys. It'll be an official podcast soon enough. I think somebody has to quit in a huff, maybe around episode 50.
You're totally right.
I don't know. What are the other things? We need some guy to spontaneously... I'm not volunteering for this, by the way. We need somebody to spontaneously try to do a Family Guy impression. Criken, looking at you.
Peter! Hey, Peter!
That's really good.
Shockingly good.
Jeez.
It's been a bit on our stream for a while. This isn't a new thing. This is
The Patrick Warburton voice.
Yeah. Hey,
Damn.
Peter!
Man.
Hey, Peter!
Criken, you do that so well.
Hey, Peter!
Is that... Are those the only two words?
Yeah, I know.
Yeah, no,
I mean-
he doesn't say anything else in the show.
You don't need to. It's fine.
Hey, Peter!
Okay, well then now we know what he does. That's the extent
starting
of
to
the
get
impression.
sensual.
Yeah.
Peter! Hey, over here, Peter.
What else does he say?
I'm trapped in a well.
Okay, all right. That's like he fell in a well.
Peter!
Yeah, good.
We're starting to drift a little bit.
I'm in a well.
What about if he's?
How did he get in there?
What about if he's going to the grocery store?
fell.
Grocery store for toilet paper. What does he say
Hey,
there?
Peter. They're out of toilet paper. Do you have anything else?
That's pretty good.
Just trapped in a well.
That's pretty good. I like that a lot. Wow.
You're welcome.
Perfect. What an amazing intro to this very real podcast. I was about to say official podcast, but that's also taken.
That's also
Oh,
taken.
that's taken.
Do we?
Very real podcast. Does that count? How about that?
That's pretty good too. Could we just do that as the opening? I'll just do a different impression, and that's
Hey,
sounds like the worst
Peter!
show I've ever heard, actually.
Hey, Peter.
Hey, Peter.
It's
Peter.
the more that I hear it, the less I want to say that it's good. Because before it was really good.
The first
What?
hit was nice.
And,
yeah. I'm not gonna lie. The glow is starting to fade a little bit.
Oh man.
But that's okay. Give it a week, Criken. I'm sure I'll
Lawrence.
forget.
Oh.
Take it back.
Oh, he said something different.
Take it back, Lawrence.
All right.
He did, but now it just sounds like he's burping while he's talking.
That's
Which
how
I-
it sounds.
It is kind of, yeah.
Now I'm Solid Snake. Kind of. But worse, with indigestion.
Hey everybody, that's Criken.
Hey,
Criken,
I'm
everyone.
still here.
Criken, everyone.
Sorry if I scared you as to who this stranger is on the podcast. It's still me. I'm just doing funny voices.
We thought it was what's his name? The guy that does the actual voice. What's his fucking name?
Patrick Warburton.
Thank you,
What?
Patrick
Oh,
Warburton.
David Hayter?
No, Warburton. Warburton.
Slash,
Warburton. Yeah.
Hey, Kronk, pull the lever. He is Kronk. So
Well, yeah,
are you-
that's the other character.
Oh man.
Oh, jeez. Although now that I think about it, Solid Snake would probably have indigestion because all he eats are military rations and Calorie
Snakes.
Mate. And snakes. He is a snake eater. That's true.
Wait, does he
But
really
it's
eat
uncooked.
snakes?
Yeah, dude.
they made a whole game about it.
You never played it?
No, I've never played any Metal Gear game. I keep saying that.
What? Dude.
I've never played a Metal Gear game.
A snake eater, you can eat snakes, you can eat frogs. Snakes and frogs, really. You can kill an alligator and wear its head. as a
Specifically,
hat.
doesn't like reptiles by the sounds of it.
Oh yeah, no, he goes to town on those bad boys. I'm trying to remember because like you can eat rats, I think. Because if you equip a fork, you can just stab animals with a fork and then you automatically eat it. But if you tranquilize them and you carry them in a little cage in your inventory, and then when you eat them, you get a little cutscene of him eating an animal in the forest to prove how raw he is. That game was weird, man. But also like you'd have to like heal Snake, and then it would give you little cutscenes of him cauterizing bullet holes with a cigar because that's how manly
That's
he is.
awesome.
That's
Yeah.
pretty great.
Metal Gear Solid 3 is a total like 80s action film wank. Like most, I mean, Kojima films usually or games usually are. Whatever.
Lawrence,
Yeah.
Lawrence,
So good.
what should I play if I've which Metal Gear should I play if I've never played a Metal Gear? Like, what's the best
I don't
one?
know how you're going to. That's the problem. I mean, I'd say Solid 1 and then 3 probably.
Solid one was
Those-
on
I think-
I
PS2.
think-
PS1.
Oh,
I started with 3. I didn't actually I was only playing on a friend's copy, but I really enjoyed starting with 3.
okay, all right.
Yeah, that might be the best.
Chat's
call.
saying Metal Gear 3 as well.
I think a lot of what really struck me is like, I mean, I think hardcore Metal Gear fans like probably, used to this stuff by now, but to a new player, there are so many little features that don't need to be in there at all, but are purely a creative choice that you're like really taken aback by, and that's really what made the difference to me. Is like it felt like a game that had so many just odd choices that really made its identity, I guess, which is I guess the point of it.
All right.
Kojima's always extra as hell.
Yeah,
I appreciate that.
I wonder if Death Stranding was like for him a departure because he's like, it's not an action game. It's a game where you hike. Like, and everyone's like, oh, well, that's cool. Wow, revolutionary. I don't know. I'm not sure.
I think it's a departure because it wasn't rooted in some kind of 80s movie that he grew up loving.
Yeah, that's
which
true.
is every other game he makes typically. Disregarding like Boktai and some of the other weirder stuff, or Zone of the Enders. Which actually, no way to take that back. Or probably grew up watching Macross or something. But that's old. We got to talk about new video games, right?
New video games. Wait, hold on.
Everybody's buzzing about Valorant, dude.
Have either of you guys played it?
No. I've watched a lot of streams. Not because I want to drop. I actually don't. After watching a lot of streams, I don't think I really care to get a drop. But
Whoa.
I know.
that's a spicy take.
hot takes. I mean,
with this
whatever.
spicy take from Lawrence.
Criken's hot on the
it should be
impressions today.
unexpected.
I love it.
I know. That's
I love
how I
it.
wake myself up.
Oh, gotcha. Doing impressions. Yeah. That makes sense.
It's working, dude. Whatever you're drinking. Oh, it's
Look in
coffee.
the mirror. Yeah.
All right, well, hold on.
Oh.
I played like 10 hours, 10, 12 hours of it. So I want to hear your impressions first. I'm curious to see what you think just watching the video game.
Oh, of me?
And Criken. I don't know if he's
Okay,
watched it at
yeah.
all, but
I've only watched clips. I really haven't watched any streams.
oh, gotcha. Okay. All right.
It didn't seem like my kind of game, but
It's not.
more so that it's just sweaty, and
Yeah, it's
I don't really
Wait,
neither one of
sweaty
us.
sweaty game.
Yeah,
Valorant is a sweaty game?
Yes.
100%.
And that it
Yeah.
does it make you sweat?
No, sweating means just like tryhards. It's just full of people try hard.
Gotcha. I was not familiar with that verbiage.
Oh,
Thank you.
really? Oh, wow.
Yeah.
I love that word.
I guess I just don't play those games in general, so I'm not used to the verbiage within them.
Yeah, it is a sweaty game.
Not a big CS meets Brink. I guess that.
It's
It's Disco Joe. That's a hell of a reference. Dropping the Brink verbiage. But
no, it's Counter-Strike Overwatch.
Brink.
I keep.
Yeah.
I've not thought about that game in so long.
It's Counter-Strike Overwatch, or if you want Counter-Strike Apex, because it's basically like a shooter with abilities. Whereas Overwatch is not really a shooter with abilities. You could get by without actually being good at shooting if you wanted to in Overwatch. You cannot in Valorant.
Gotcha.
But go for it. Sorry, Lawrence.
Oh no, it's okay. I mean, to me, it looks the flow of the game, the vibe of the game, the pace of the game, the action of the game. It all looks like it hits Counter-Strike beats, and I never really liked playing Counter-Strike. I would do it just because it was the game to play. You know, like no one was playing Quake 2 or Quake 3 once Counter-Strike came out, so that's just where the flavor was. You know, I would go into servers just to hang out and chat with people, but playing was kind of incidental to that because most of the time I was playing Counter-Strike, I wasn't actually playing Counter-Strike. I was just waiting.
Yeah.
I was covering my hallway. I was covering my door. I was listening intently for a footstep or something. I get the tension of the match, and I get why people might like that, but boy, is that not for me. I like I play video games to hit buttons and do things.
Sounds
and
like
maybe
you're
that's,
also not a sweaty gamer, Lawrence. Come over
I
here on
don't-
my side of the debate.
I guess I'm not. I don't mind. I don't mind try hard games, but yeah, often I play games to challenge myself, to improve myself, and to experience like the artistic expression of the people making them. And I don't see any of those aspects that I enjoy in games in Valorant. To me, Valorant seems like, I mean, it seems super CS:GO.
It is.
Which is
It is.
The mind game is pretty cool if you're into that, which I'm not really. And then what's confusing to me is all the flavor that Valorant's supposed to throw and carving out its own identity still just seem like reskins of CS:GO mechanics. So to be fair, I only watched, I want to say, about an hour of it total, but it seems like they've got the flashbang, they've got the smoke grenade, they've got everything from CS:GO. It just looks different. I don't know. So the way that my understanding of Valorant as a game was that it was crafted to sort of try to appeal to all esports markets. Because there's not really a game that spans like North America and Asia and South Korea and China. It seemed like Valorant was the game trying to do that by like cherry picking little bits of games that work in every territory. And it doesn't seem like the combination of all those disparate bits have formed into something new and exciting. And Bruce, I know that you had some insight on that too. But yeah, for me, it just seems like it's a very business-driven game created to satisfy a specific business interest. But in that, a new competitive experience doesn't seem to be emerging. But that's me speaking. That's me thoroughly non-sweaty. Despite, I think I've got a little bit going on down here. Thoroughly non-sweaty gamer who just wants to play hard games and enjoy myself. And also just fundamentally too, like competitive team games have never really been my thing. I like 1v1 games because I like the purity of it. I like knowing when I fucked up and what I can improve on. But boy, is that whole process muddied when you can either blame it on a team or have a team blame things on you. It just makes it really fuzzy to figure out how to improve or where the action of the game should be or what I should mentally focus on as I'm trying to improve. So yeah, that's kind of my big long take. I hope the people that are playing are having fun. And certainly like for me, the thing that I respect the most is the way they're rolling it out on Twitch. They beat Fortnite's viewer record because of their brilliant strategy of like gifting the game to select really good streamers. So to watch them, you're seeing the game played at a high level. That's your first introduction to the game. And then you have to sit in that chat with your account linked to maybe get access to the game. So they did such a good job of like driving up viewership and going #1 on Twitch right away. The rollout strategy was brilliant. Absolutely brilliant. So I like that a lot. That was cool to watch. The game itself, I'm hoping there's more to it than I can appreciate because I haven't played it. Bruce, you have played it. I would love to hear your perspective.
Yeah, no, I'm honestly just curious to hear your guys' perspective first, because then I'll kind of go into mine, because I have years of CS, and I'm not good at it, by the way. Whenever I say I have years of CS, I played it, but please don't ever make the mistake that I'm good at it. Like, it's like I'm fine or okay at best, but nowhere near the high level stuff that you're seeing on Twitch. Criken, what do you have an impression of Valorant?
I mean, I think I agree with most of what Lawrence said. I'm also not really generally into team games, or if I am, then it's like a very specific kind of team game where it doesn't put as much of the onus on pull your weight or you're the fuck up.
Yeah.
You know, the far side example of that is like a Dota where you're stuck in like an hour-long game, and if one of your guys is like feeding, then you're just the subject of hate and pity and like,
it's true.
Just everything for an hour, and that's just not worth anything.
That's true.
I think to Lawrence's point, I definitely, from the little I've watched of it, it definitely felt to me like the game was created in a lab where it was like, you know, very strategically cherry picking, you know, either mechanics or art style or, you know, a bunch of different things that, like, you know, Lawrence said, appeals to all these different geographic, you know, and demographic locations, and then has like concocted the, you know, the next big shooter.
Well, no, we're losing you.
So
We're losing Criken.
Yeah.
We're losing Criken's
You're
internet.
getting robo-fied. I don't know, man. Hope is it happening to me too? Are we getting both? Of us
No,
again?
I'm only getting Lauren. Or I'm only getting Criken because I could see Criken's webcam like cutting in or like compressing and artifacting a little more.
that's
Yeah.
weird. Mine sounds fine.
Hold
Yeah,
on.
I think you're good.
I think you're back. Yeah, go ahead.
Okay.
Discord's trying to keep us down.
Yeah, it might be
The
Discord.
anti-Discord podcast. We got a new title.
Yeah. Anyway, I think it definitely felt very manufactured to me from what I've seen. Again, I haven't watched enough, so maybe there is like a lot of really original characters and thought or something in there that
There's not.
that
There's not.
okay. Well, in that case, I don't really have many opinions on it besides I kind of feel like it's the flavor of the month. It might be enough of Overwatch and enough of CS:GO that it becomes the next standard, but I don't know if I love the idea of every big new hit game just being another remix of the last two big hit games
Right.
over and over and over again, because then we're just going to be going in circles.
the XFL NFL problem.
That's the I mean, like, so yeah, I have played it. I played it a lot, and it was like as soon as I got into it, as soon as I played the game, first rounds, it was Counter-Strike. There was no ifs, ands, or buts, and it was kind of like I never ever felt like I didn't know where I was, or was like, oh yeah, okay, cover the angles. All the maps are designed exactly like Counter-Strike, and I think to Lawrence's point about marketing and making this game and all this other stuff, here's what I think Riot did. I think Riot, first of all, they decided that they're Blizzard, and they went, hey, we can make a ripoff of a game, but we can make it better. Because that's what Blizzard does. Blizzard takes genres and perfects them. They did it with World of Warcraft. They did it with Warcraft, actually, for RTSs. And they did it with Overwatch. Overwatch was basically it was a really elegant ripoff of Team Fortress. With all the different classes. It really was. I mean, like straight down to the engineers and Torb. But they backed it up with a really cool narrative. They had really cool characters with a lot of thought put into it. And again, Overwatch is just a more polished game than Team Fortress, barely, because Valve's an amazing developer as well. So they did that, and that's what this is. Riot thought they were Blizzard, and they're like, we can rip off Counter-Strike Go, but we can make it better, and we can make it free to play. We can make it accessible to the masses with Fortnite-style cartoony graphics and abilities. By the way, the abilities are really cool. I like the abilities a lot. I really do think it adds a nice little different dimension to a CS:GO game because you don't only have to be good at shooting, but you still do. If you're not good at shooting, you're gonna get shit on like Criken talked about, where everyone's gonna be like, "Oh man, you're terrible every round. You're terrible. Locked in for 25 rounds. You're gonna
Wait,
sit there.
that's how long it is?
It's the first to 13 rounds. The first to 13.
What?
Yeah. So you can play up to 25 rounds. It's like 24 rounds. Something like
And it's like one life each.
Right.
Like
you die.
Bomb.
You die and wait. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Does it have the snowball problem where like 5 matches in you know who's going to win, but you still have to sit the rest of the whole thing out?
I mean, yeah. Like there's no. I'm sure.
That's what I hated about League. Like once you get behind level, and the other like one, there have been some back and forths when two teams are on equal footing, but it feels like sometimes it's obvious that one team is more skilled, and then yeah, once your team knows they're going to lose, then the toxicity turns inward, and it just becomes the worst experience ever.
Yep. Yeah, it's going to be. By the way, I'm sure it'll be different for the actual release of this game. There's no way they're going to lock people into the best of 13. And also, like Lawrence said, if your entire team decides to forfeit or whatever, I'm sure they'll have that option. There's no way they're going to make you sit there and get your fucking shit pushed in for another 10 rounds or whatever it is.
Man, some of my earlier League experiences, it is by far the most toxic game I've ever played.
Yeah.
But you say that, Bruce. However, I think in my third League match ever, because I was still trying to learn just MOBAs in general, we were way behind. It was 10 minutes in the match. Like, it was pretty clear that we were going to lose. And, like, one team member called to vote to, what's the word? Surrender?
Oh, yeah, yeah.
It has to be a unanimous vote, though. At least maybe it did back then.
No, it usually does. Yeah.
And yeah, one member on our team said no, and he explained himself. He's like, "You were going to wait this entire match out to reinforce how bad you are."
Jeez.
So yeah, there was, and the vibe at the time, and that's what kind of scares me about Valorant, and really reinforces that it's not a game for me, is that with that kind of team atmosphere, and especially kind of like you were saying, if it make one of the more beautiful things Overwatch did was sort of try to minimize the ability to zero out specific players for what they are or aren't doing.
Yeah.
And I thought that was pretty brilliant because that if you give people all the stats and tools to like point to one player and say we are losing because of you, then it creates that toxic environment. When I see Valorant and like you guys are saying, you have to shoot. And if you're missing your shots and you don't have any kills and you've died a couple of times and you're 5 rounds in and it's 0-5, your team's going to pounce on you.
Mm-hmm.
And it's going to create that environment where you feel like crap and you don't know how to improve and everyone's yelling at you. And that's what's like, you know what? Not for me. There are people who have been playing CSGO since 1.6 and they have a skill level that I'll never achieve at this point. And I don't need to, and it's not for me. That game's not going to be built off of me or players like me, though. It's going to be built off of people who have unlimited time and no money to play free-to-play games and cultivate that skill level. So,
yeah.
Is there still enough for that, though? Fortnite probably scooped all those people up already. I don't know.
Well, so, like you were, again, to your point about marketing, so not only did Riot take a page from Blizzard and from Valve for this game, but they also took a page from Escape from Tarkov. Tarkov's popularity exploded over December-January timeframe because they had drops enabled. And I was saying it when I was playing Tarkov then. I was like, this is what every game should be doing. Every game should be doing drops. And Tarkov was dropping weapons, and this game is dropping keys, literal keys to the game. Because I was like, this is exactly what the future of Twitch is going to be. Every new game that releases, whether or not they're gonna pick out a bunch of different streamers. Tarkov did exactly the same thing. They picked out a bunch of specific streamers they knew played Tarkov, and then enabled drops for their channel. So Riot again they just took a page from Tarkov, which is great, by the way. And I'm not slamming Riot for any particular reason at all. They knew exactly what worked and did all those things. So it's I mean, like, this is the way every game should be launched now. We should have it so that people on Twitch can watch and get weapons or get skins or whatever else.
I have a counterpoint to that.
Yeah, hit it, please.
Most of my friends that wanted to get in Valorant were participating in the whole drop thing. And they were also criticizing kind of the reality of it, which is that you have, first of it's like the top 1% or 0.1% streamers are the only ones that really
it wasn't me.
Get invited to this.
Yeah.
But also, it's not only that, it's also that most people watching it don't give a shit about the streamer. They're just
they don't
passively trying to gather the chance to get the drop. And so, although it's good numbers, it also, I think, reinforces kind of a weird dynamic. And you see accounts make 100 alt accounts that are all signed in and trying to just farm a drop. And I don't know. As a streamer, I don't know how I'd feel about that personally. I'm sure a lot of the 0.1% folks up there are like, hey, it's a views of you, but it seems like it's diluting the community and the culture of a stream if you're just kind of using it as a passive farming in a factory.
By the way, I agree with all your points. It's a really good counterpoint. You're not getting the engagement that you want on a stream. You're not getting the dedicated viewership. You're not getting the people that are there to oh man, I love you, Jericho, or whatever, because Jericho's one of the guys that they signed on to do this. However, I literally just had a conversation a couple of days ago with people about ad buys, and I was talking about it. I was like, dude, my community's insane. It's just I love them. They're the best. They're super engaged. They're always around, et cetera, et cetera. And they're like, yeah, but what's your concurrence?
Yep.
And that's all that matters. So when Riot goes to sell their game to Coca-Cola, they went, yeah, we have 1.6 million people watching. Coca-Cola doesn't go, well, but were they engaged? or do they like Jericho? They don't give a fuck. They're looking for the 1.6 million concurrency, because Criken, down on the micro level, I completely agree with you. But on the macro level, nobody agrees with us, which sucks.
Yeah, I was watching Jericho's chat, and Criken, you're 100% right.
Yeah.
There was very little discussion about the game. No discussion about Jericho. There were none of the signs of like a healthy community, which is people talking to each other about anything.
Just
it was
yelling
purely
into a vacuum.
It was a lot of confusion over whether drops were happening, what you had to do to get them, and it was just the same question cycling over and over again. And Tucker had to like every 5 minutes being like, drops are off.
Yeah.
Stop, like, and there was no amount of seeding that information that, because it's like, it's something I noticed way back when we were doing, like, for blogs and stuff like that, they would do giveaways. It's like, oh, we have a free game to give away, and you get crazy page views. But those people just landed and bounced. Like, it didn't lead to any kind of long-term growth, but to some degree, yeah, it is an element of playing the game. If you can attract somebody's eyeballs for just a little bit, then you can then sell that, and they're fake numbers, and it's not a good long-term strategy. But because what happens later is, like, you sell against those numbers that you had that one time when you were doing a giveaway or you had drops enabled, and then later your actual sell-through or your performance doesn't match up to those numbers you got because they were hyperinflated. It becomes a whole thing, and then the advertisers don't trust the numbers, and it's all a game, really, pushing back and forth. And it's interesting because I feel like, and Criken, actually, I'd love to get your perspective on this. I feel like for a long time, to some degree, Twitch streaming and being a Twitch streamer has been somewhat innocent, maybe the wrong word, but it is at least a very clean relationship. You're producing content, you're fostering a community. You get eyeballs, and some members of that community decide to offer up. Oh, I want to watch this.
No, I didn't want
stuff coming out of a pipe.
Oh, it's disgusting. Sorry, go ahead.
No, it's. Oh, look at it. It's so satisfying to see all that stuff come out. Anyway, I feel like the revenue streams for a streamer are pretty straightforward. You know, you either get direct revenue from your audience, you do ad deals where you represent a product and get some money for that. But I feel like to some degree there have been view botters and things like that. But again, I feel like that's all pretty straightforward. Once you start getting in the mess of like, I can stream game A because it has drops enabled right now, and I know a lot of people are going to show up for that, and that's going to drive up my average viewership that I can then sell to advertisers for X amount of dollars. Once you start walking down that path, it's something you can't really stop, because once you stop doing that stuff or playing those games, then your viewership drops back to normal organic levels. And then, you know, your other revenue drops off too. So I feel like this is the beginning of a weird whirlpool, or I guess maybe Escape from Tarkov, or even CSGO when they had drops enabled. It was the beginning of a weird whirlpool of like activation events and marketing stunts on Twitch that have started to introduce a different flavor to the streamer-viewer relationship. I don't know, Criken. What is your take on that, being around as long as you have?
Yeah, I think that's a good take. I think it's definitely like the whole concept of people watching a streamer because it's early access or a, you know, some way of benefiting themselves to watch this particular gameplay is not really new. But I think the idea of them actually getting something at a random interval, regardless of the content that's happening, is new. And that's, I think, what worries me, is that it's got no grounding in the streamer's content or the streamer itself. They're purely a means to an end or a tool. I'd be interested in seeing a world where these things are driven by engagement or in some other metric of participation within a community. Although that then becomes, you know, the streamer being the gatekeeper of these keys, which then becomes harassing a streamer to then give the keys out, and it's a difficult thing. So I think we're touching on some really interesting ideas. I like the idea that you can drive a giant influx of new viewers. It's just how to get them to be more interested in staying beyond getting their key and getting out. That I want to see some more experiments of, rather than, hey, look at all the numbers we got. This works. Let's not change the system, because I think the system needs to be changed. I don't think it's perfect the way it is.
It's I mean, it's what Lawrence and I heard, and then actually, Criken, you probably heard this 100 times too. Top of funnel. Top of funnel is like a marketing term that we heard all the time at Funhouse and Rooster Teeth, and I'd probably Machinima too, which was basically like you're trying to get the most eyes on something, and it doesn't matter how you get them. You just want to get the most eyes, because then eventually, since it's at the very top of the funnel, you're going to they'll come down into the spots that they want to be in. So whether or not let's say they're at the very top of the funnel and they really like Rooster Teeth stuff. So they go down, they're like, I like Funhouse stuff. Well, I like Achievement Hunter stuff. And I like, Rooster Teeth proper stuff. Who knows? It's the same thing here. So like Jericho or any other streamer that has drops enabled is getting a shitload of followers on Twitch. But those followers, eventually, maybe they'll turn into somebody who was a paying subscriber for Jericho, or maybe they'll turn into, a mod for Jericho, or, who knows? That's what, I think that's what people are all banking on, is those viewership numbers, and then they come down into the funnel. So
I get that. I think.
Yeah, no, I know you do.
For that, it makes sense. I'd be interested to see if this is the top of funnel model, like, develop it further so there's like a mid funnel, like what if I start by this activation, how do I give like maybe it's like you get a key from watching, but then if you're followed or subscribed, then like you potentially could get
right
bonus experience for the first week or something like that.
That's a great idea. And like I know. Whatever. I know you and Lawrence are almost always on the same page when it comes to these sorts of things, like thinking about ways to engage audience. And we've all thought about those exact ways to do it. And usually people are like, it's too complicated or whatever. But that's the kind of shit that it should be. That's the way the future should be. So.
And it's not too complicated. I mean, I think if you look at like
good. I'm glad to hear that, because I agree.
Yeah, it's. I mean, if you look at each streamer, how they run their community, how they encourage the kind of dynamics, each of those are the complicated iterations, and they know it best, obviously, because it's their community. So all you have to do is kind of give them the tools to message things and to tell things the way it is, and the rest will come out. You don't have to make one solution that fits everyone. You basically just make a format and then let them run it their way. The weird thing about this is that it's very top down, in that watch this stream, you get these drops, and then that's the beginning and end of it.
Yep. Sorry everybody for Criken's audio. I know it's cutting in and out.
I actually got to be right back anyway, so I'll give you guys a break from how awful I am.
It might be downloading.
It'll be fixed in the end version at least, because
oh, that's true.
Clean audio.
Yeah, we have clean audio.
Or something.
It might be Criken might be downloading a lot of porn, so I understand.
Yeah, it's got to.
That's normal.
Cut off all those torrents.
That's normal. Yeah, I don't know. So Valorant is a CS:GO ripoff, but that doesn't mean it's not a good game. It is still that. I felt the same way about Overwatch when it came out. I was like, this is a Team Fortress 2 ripoff, but it was a really good game. So
I'm really curious to see how much gas Riot can dump on it, because to me it's like, I don't know. It is unfair at this point to say like the only heat that Valorant's going to get is whatever Riot can just push. It's unfair to imply that the game by itself won't have any momentum or uptake, despite in the early stages it does kind of seem like it's not really filling a market need that anyone was experiencing.
Yeah,
because we have CS:GO.
So yeah. Yep.
So I am kind of curious with Riot's backing and with clever marketing, what kind of momentum it can get just on that alone. Because I mean, they got the headline, they got like the Twitch viewership all-time record, beating Fortnite already.
Yep.
And I think that is owing to the drops and things like that. So that's Riot's marketing spinning its magic. I'm curious. I'm curious how long that'll last, or to what degree they can, like, what beats come next after the rollout of the beta, which is pretty cool.
Well, you and I were talking. We were talking about it before the podcast, because we were like, what? How is this gonna? Because League of Legends followed a really interesting trajectory, which was Lawrence, you and I, sounds like we both played it in like 2010, 2011 timeframe, probably when it first came out, and both of us hated it. And I was like, well, that's it. No one's going to play this game. And then how big, when do you think League became League? When was that? Like 2013?
Yeah, 2013, 2014, when like Worlds. I remember when they had Worlds at the LA Convention Center to like a packed house and were setting online viewership records. To me, that kind of signified that the game it's sort of broken a critical mass in terms of growth and player base.
Yep. Yeah. It's
damn, it's really impressive that game has had the lifespan that it's had, and it's still as popular as it is.
I honestly don't know how they've done it, and I do think that Riot is banking on their machine knowing how to do that for Valorant. But like we were talking about before, like Fortnite, because people were comparing it to Fortnite, and Fortnite came on not the end of but the middle of the battle royale craze, and this game is a game type that we've known for 20 years. So I don't know if there's any more room to make this game more popular. I don't know.
Yeah, we were kind of discussing what's the most recent game of that flavor with that vibe that has found a marketplace. I mean, Crossfire, but that's been around since like League of Legends times, really. It's basically the CS:GO for Asia. Rainbow Six Siege was able to kind of carve out a space. Call of Duty almost, except they keep releasing new versions of it every year, which kind of hits the reset button on their growth. Yeah, Vicious Circle, that was it. I forgot about that one. So it's an interesting play. Again, it does seem like made in a lab is what it smacks up to me of like, let's take all these bits. Like people love first-person shooters, people love guns, people like magical. People like creative, colorful, and teen-rated character designs that they can cosplay as. People like magical abilities on cooldown, but people love reloading. So let's just make sure all that's in there. So Lawbreaker, yeah, there's been some games who have tried to push into that space,
but they weren't.
And the market has. Oh, sorry, go ahead.
I was going to say they don't have the backing of Riot. Sorry, go ahead.
They don't have the backing of Riot, but also I feel like I hesitate to double down on this, but. Because Riot has to have market analysis that I am not privy to. And certainly someone there said yes to this based on that data that I don't have. Mm-hmm. But I feel like the market has over and over again said, we're good. Like we've hit the market cap of tactical, realistic first-person shooters, team-based tactical first-person shooters. So I'm just really fascinated about this whole thing. Is it just going to find some niche that I didn't know existed? I mean, that's obviously what Riot's banking on. And a lot of the big games do that. You can't just look at them and be like, that's going to be a hit or not. I don't know that anyone at the advent of Fortnite Battle Royale knew that it would become as big as it did. There was clearly like an underserved market there for Battle Royales, kind of like what you were saying. So its prospects for success seemed way higher than Valorant's do right now. But again, I have to trust that people are right, know what they're doing, and have some kind of data they're going off of that I don't. I just wonder what it is.
I don't know, because I mean, League was on, again, the forefront of MOBAs. So it's like, I don't know. It's such a weird, to me, this is, and Lawrence, I think, I like to believe that you're right, that there are a lot of people at Riot that have all this data that we don't have. But there could be a group of 10, there could be a group of 10 people that have just been like, you know what? This is our passion project. We're just going to give it a shot and see what happens. I don't know, though. I'm not sure how Riot works. So
it's also possible they saw the monetization model of CS:GO and they were like, oh, we need that. And that was it.
Yeah.
Because the amount of revenue that CS:GO generates for Valve, for the amount of maintenance they do on that game, is pretty ridiculous. Right? Employees are too busy getting sexually harassed, yeah. They get their deck of like market analysis, they flip open one page, and then a giant fart blasts them in the face. And damn it! And they slam it closed, turn on the fan, and by then it's time to go home.
Like, come on, Mikey, why are you farting my book again?
Yeah, you got my mouth open on that one. Actually, that sounds pretty fun. But yeah, I do try my best to give people the benefit of the doubt, and I definitely try to assume that decision making that I'm not privy to is done with a bank of information I don't have. But that may not be the case.
Who knows?
Yeah, it does. It does feel like this game is hitting 4 years too late, which is weird. They've had all the money and resources and staff at their disposal. I don't get it.
I don't.
Riot's been
I don't
Riot's
either.
been confusing to me for a long time.
Yeah, I mean, but it's like, but again, I don't know. I hate to say it because it sounds like I guess it lacks emotion, but cream rises to the top, and Riot has somehow made just a fuckload of money on turning their free to play game into an esport, and that may be what this is. They may be trying to fast track it to esports, so that because I mean I know a lot of people that watch League of Legends but don't play it. They know what it is and can watch it. I mean, at this point now, it's funny. I haven't played Overwatch in years, but I'll watch it. You know, it's the same with football, basketball. People don't play football or basketball; they understand it, so they can watch it. Which may be what they're trying to do with Valorant. So
Maybe I didn't have a ton of fun watching Valorant though, and I've never specifically had lots of fun watching CS:GO either.
yeah,
But I have that kind of, to me at least, parallels some spectator concerns that I have with other games. Like, I'm not a huge fan of American football because it's so start and stop. I like hockey because it's always moving and it's fast and it's violent.
yeah.
But and to a lesser degree, like soccer / actual football. But yeah, or basketball. Like, at least there's motion happening. There's people moving and trying to do something. Where football is like, it's 5 seconds of activity and then a commercial break for light beer and trucks. Maybe that's just Texas, but yeah, for me, even from a spectator perspective, watching Valorant was a lot of downtime, tons and tons of downtime, and then the actual engagements, the actual action was over so fast because I guess I was watching good people play, and they were always hitting their shots. But you have to, I feel like with Valorant, you'd have to watch for 30 minutes so you can see from the perspective you're watching somebody go on a really good 2 to 3 kill streak. And those are some pretty high highs, but I feel like that doesn't translate as well as the Battle Royale atmosphere, because at least
I agree.
Then the simmering tension of waiting, you've got the audio, you got all that, but something about it like just doesn't feel as tense and interesting when you're just in the same spot on the map you run to every round. You throw all your cooldowns exactly the same way every time.
It's funny.
And then you just wait and hope somebody rolls into your sights.
It's funny you talk about football and this because they're similar. A lot of people, I just saw Farley in my chat, but it's the same with me. I enjoy the tension of football. I really do. I like, because in football, obviously the game is played, but there are lots of strategies behind anything that ever happens. So you could not watch the game, not watch actual game being played, and the strategies that are going into each play are they're so interesting. So there's a game behind the game. It's the same with CS:GO, and it's the same with this game. Is that there really truly is a game behind the game of like, well, which way is the team going to go? Is it going to go to A or B? Well, they went to A last time; it worked on A. So are they going to go to A because it worked again, or are they going to reverse because they know we know? Like, there's this whole there's a lot of strategy involved with football and CS:GO. So some people like that. Me personally, I'm not going to watch CS:GO as much as I'm going to watch football because I think I understand football a little more. But the action's over just as quick. Those plays last 5-10 seconds, and that's it. A
Valorant play is shorter than that.
Oh, way shorter. Yeah.
Yeah, like less than half a second is usually when wouldn't be with me, or at least depending on who's shooting at me, because I'd spray my entire clip, run out, switch to my handgun, blast it off in 5 random directions, and then get killed. That's my CS:GO experience. But with everyone I was watching, it was just sitting there lined up, play me, and that's it.
Yep.
And that moment was kind of exciting. But yeah, Bruce, I agree. There is a high level strategy around like buy rounds and the in-game economy and what weapons you buy and when you choose to buy them and who's going to plant and whether or not they're even going to try and stuff like that. I'm slipping into CS:GO verbiage right now, but
I can appreciate
that.
By the way, all that verbiage works for this game.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Is there? Was everyone just using old CS:GO terminology playing the game?
That's all it is.
Like
you literally go and plant a thing. You plant a spike. So that's what it is. I mean,
and is there like a diffuse pack or an anti-mana kit?
You diffuse the spike. It's exactly the same. Like I don't think that anybody would ever disagree that it is exactly the same as CS:GO. Going back to your guys' points about like, oh, this is a sweaty game, and like I think you guys have sweaty games that you play. Like Doom is sweaty for Lawrence. I know that.
Oh, I like Doom.
And Criken, I would say Kenshi or Bannerlord is pretty sweaty for you. Your reputation's on the line if you lose.
It's true. Yeah, there's a certain expectation from viewers, but that's more of what it's like to be a streamer. I don't think that is very much a product of the game, but
you like being good at it, though, right?
I do.
Yeah.
I pride myself at being at least okay at those games.
Yeah, that's sort of the way, like, because I mean, it's funny because with first person shooters, I kind of have no illusions that I'm good at those games. Like, I want to be okay at them, but knowing the entire, the expanse of the human race, when I get on and watch Noah J put down 30 kills in Warzone or whatever, I'm just like, well, never fucking mind. Maybe I'll just survive. So
yeah, I think it's particularly hard with PvP games when you're up against opponents and it's like both your skills are factored into how the outcome comes out. I personally prefer PvE games because at least then I can master, that interaction, and then I feel a sense of progression and strength at that. Yeah, so I think that's my preference is I get too sweaty at PvP games. I usually don't enjoy that. I don't like feeling a sense of not being good enough, or someone on my team not being good enough, or someone on their team being too good, or using a cheap tactic and all that stuff.
No, yeah, Lawrence was just talking about that, and that's, for me, it's just I don't want to let anybody down. Like, I just want to be able to do the thing they need me to do, which is like, you generally stay alive. And that to me is even more pressure than being good at the game. It's just I don't want to let down my team and get shit on over and over and over, because that'll just neg me out of that game. Like, I'll just be like, never mind. And like, I enjoy playing the video game, but I don't want to play it anymore with the people that I'm playing with. So It's a real bummer.
I've definitely had that experience too. If you're playing a PvE game and you lose, for one, it's always a learning experience because the thing you're trying to accomplish is a fixed goal. If you lose a multiplayer game, you can't roll back in time and try something else.
Yep.
So the opportunity to learn is really fuzzy because the next match you can try and demonstrate learning from what you just did, but you're holy shit.
Dude, that's insane.
Sorry. Clip of an FA-18 flying at like 500 feet, something ridiculous. Ugh. That's amazing. I'll try not to repeat myself too thoroughly, but to me, the learning process and the improvement process is so much more defined in a PvE game because you lose once, you go right back into the exact same challenge. The board is set up exactly the same way, and you try something else. And you can do a lot of that with PvP games, but the bank of time required to just throw yourself to the wind and let yourself get thrashed around until you learn how the game works and how, more importantly, the other players work is just that amount of investment to start demonstrating skill is so much higher. And that's a virtue with most of those games. But yeah, I don't know. To me, it's like the factors of games like that, especially when you factor in the fact that it's a team game, and if you're doing pug games or something like that, it's just absolute chaos. If you get on a team with 4 people you've never played with against 5 people you've never played against, to demonstrate skill or to even acquire useful information in that circumstance seems so much harder. But maybe that's just my old man brain. I don't know.
No, I mean, I'd see a bunch of people in chat saying exactly the same things that we're saying, which is like, yeah, I don't play Overwatch or Rainbow Six or whatever because I don't want to get called out. Like, you don't even get a chance really to practice those games. As soon, you don't. Like, you could go to the shooting range. People always like, all right, get back to the shooting range, you go back to practice, whatever. That's not anything near like what the actual game is like. So you don't have a chance to practice. You get in and you just get rolled over and over and over, and then everybody blames you because they'll go check how long you've been playing the game, or they'll check your KD, or whatever. They'd like check your record, and they're like, "Oh, this dude's brand new." No one will actually be like, "Hey, man, it's cool. Let's get through it. Let's get through it." Instead, they're just like, "Why are you here? Don't play this game ever again." And that sucks. That is the worst. That's gatekeeping
So
to the highest extent.
Yeah, and there are people, and I feel like Valorant's going to be the same. Of if you're in the player pool and you get ranked in with people who have a bank of experience and want to play the game at a certain level, and you prevent them from doing that, they have no interest in making sure that you stay in the game.
Yeah.
I was going back to early League. I was told multiple times by different players that if I wasn't already good at League, I shouldn't even be playing because I'm ruining it for other people. And yeah, that made me just quit. I was like, I don't need this. I did see a good point, Bruce, in your chat. Somebody was saying this does, like, my point is moot because nobody would play chess if that were the case. So in terms of game design, like, chess is interesting. First of all, it's 1v1, which I always appreciate much more in multiplayer games. That's why I gravitate towards, like, fighting games, and I used to play a lot of StarCraft. But chess is interesting because, like a fighting game, it is a perfect information game. So you can see what the other player's doing as soon as they do it, and both players have the same amount of information, which is not true of something like Valorant or Overwatch or any game where the other player's activities are obscured. Now, that doesn't mean that it's a worse game. It's just a different kind of game. So for me, in my brain, and the way it works is that I love chess because when I lose, I know exactly what led to that moment. And it's very easy and obvious to see that the other player was superior. Same with fighting games. Like, if I'm getting my ass beat and I can see exactly what they're doing and I see both of our life bars and all the resources we have, it makes it much easier to learn the game, as opposed to something like Valorant, where I would squat behind a crate for 5 minutes and then just get blasted in the head and screamed at.
Yeah.
And again, I'm projecting a lot. I haven't even played Valorant, so it's kind of unfair to push these perspectives on it. But that's just kind of where my head goes because
Valorant seems like a game where if you've played CS:GO and you've played Overwatch, then you've played Valorant. Like,
yeah, no, it's true.
You can just take the same mental experiences and then just kind of translate them into the new medium. So
that's what it is. It's really. I mean, like, and it's not. I'm not simplifying anything. I can guarantee that the developers. I mean, I think actually Riot did hire CS:GO developers. Like, they hired them from Valve, and they pulled people from specific genres to do exactly this, and that's totally fine. Again, I'm not saying that that's a bad thing. I'm not saying that they're not innovating in other ways or whatever, but it is that game. And if you like it, if you like CS:GO, you're gonna love this game. You're gonna love Valorant. I mean, it's just that, except it's got abilities. So cool.
Do you think this is going to, instead of being a new blow-up global hit, do you think it's just going to carve out a chunk of CSGO's player base?
It might. I think that's what Riot is probably banking on for the first year or two, is the fact that they're going to have a really dedicated player base of 50,000 players that get on, spend a bunch of money. They have a few whales, that get skins or whatever, and then they'll put the weight of Riot's esports division behind it, and then they'll broadcast it, and then it'll draw more players, and they'll broadcast it more, and it'll draw more players, and then it'll be this snowball effect like they did with LoL. So that's what I see. But I could be wrong.
Yeah. Onto other hot angry takes from me. What do you guys think about the DualSense PS5 controller?
Yeah.
We'll pause at it. I'm gonna give the farm away again. I am super not a fan. Both of the look and then also the design. I don't understand why in 2020 they still have the controller resting on the triggers when you put it on a table or the ground. Why?
Wait. The triggers, you mean? Is that what you said?
Yeah. The controller rests on R2 and L2 when you put it down. Which means that if you put it down on a table too forcefully, it's going to start fast forwarding or rewinding whatever you're watching. That was like, every time I tried to watch a Blu-ray with my damn PS3, I had to very gingerly put the 6-axis back down on a table, lest that I bonk it too hard and then it starts fast forwarding. But it reminds me a lot of the original PS3, the boomerang design, of how they really love this batarang shape that they keep trying to push into their controllers. To me, it looks like a superhero movie that would have come out in 2003, because it's got the white rounded aspect. It's like iPod. It looks like iPod aesthetics that I thought we'd left behind, and I don't know that it's been long enough for it to wrap around and be cool.
AirPods are in,
that's true.
Yeah,
it's returned to form in that way. For me, the frustrating thing is the two analogs so close to each other, because whenever I play
that. Criken, I hate
on
that.
a PlayStation controller, I hit my own fingers
Yep.
every single time. I don't know if that's just because I have big fingers or what, but I have a Switch Pro controller right here, and these are in a direction where I cannot hit my own, like even if I'm in this rare perspective hitting here, they won't hit each other.
Well, no, it's the
every
Xbox
time
controller.
I play on a PlayStation controller. I hit my fingers and then I mess up and then I get mad at the controller. And I've never felt that for a GameCube controller, for a Switch controller, for an Xbox controller. It's only PlayStation.
Yep.
So let me see here. So Criken, your issue is that when you're dual sticking and you push the sticks together, your fingers touch?
Yes.
If for whatever reason I'm moving left with my right, or my right with my left hand and left with my right hand, then my fingers collide and I'm not able to do that movement.
So yeah, Lawrence is trying. He's like putting his thumbs on the top of the joysticks, but to
so you use the pad of your thumb and not the tip of your thumb.
I use the not the tip of my thumb. I use the corner of it.
Yeah, I use the pad. And because I'm looking at, I have a Switch Pro controller here too, and I have
a PS2 controller. I don't know why this is the one I grabbed.
Well, because they're all the same. I mean, I have exactly the same problem with the PS4 controller, and I can't stand it. I hate it. Like when I played with the Xbox controller, it was funny. I was thinking about this when they released the PS5 controller picture. Do you guys remember way back to the original Xbox? Oh, I hate that controller. When they
the Duke?
Yeah, remember way back the original Xbox controller, how big it was, and everybody like talked about how big it was and they hated it. I loved that. I loved it because my thumbs and fingers never hit each other. I do think they have a better design now. Obviously, the Xbox controller, in my opinion, is practically perfect. But that really large controller made it so that I never ever hit my thumbs. And then when I played the PS2 controller or 3 or 4, I was constantly banging my thumbs together, and I was like, "What? Who's? Am I stupid?" I used to think it was my fault. Like I couldn't figure out why I couldn't comprehend this.
Hold on, I think I have a controller here. I'm gonna check it real quick.
Lawrence, it sounds like you don't have that problem, right?
No, I guess I rest my thumbs more angled down on top of the stick than resting the pads on the top. I've never really had the issue of rubbing my fingers together. The thing that bugs me is mostly in ergonomics and usability. It does depend on what kind of game you're playing. I know that shooters are often thumbs are on both sticks, but for a lot of games, it's like for what I'm using the most. For my left hand, it's thumb on the analog. For right hand, it's thumb on the buttons. So it's weird to me the symmetric stick placement means that my left thumb is lower and my right thumb is higher when I'm playing most of the time, and that just kind of feels weird to me.
Yeah.
So the Xbox layout, and it may just be familiarity at this point, but the Xbox layout to me makes the most sense because my left thumb is on the stick, my right thumb is on the buttons naturally, and those are the placements I use the most. So yeah, that's so that layout's kind of interesting.
Criken, which controller did you learn on first? Which controller did you use for the Xbox or the PS4 or the PS2? I guess.
I would say the N64.
Oh yeah, me too. Me too.
Yeah, N64, then GameCube, then PS2, then Xbox 360, and then PS4 down the line. I have the PS4 controller here, and I still have the same problem. It's not as bad, but there's like just that middle thing. Yeah. I don't know if the new one is like the same amount of distance between these two analog sticks or not, but I remember hitting myself with this a couple times.
Oh, definitely. Because the reason I asked that question, Criken, is because for me, I learned N64, GameCube, but I went straight to Xbox and never had a PS2 or one. So then when I picked up the PS3 or PS4 controller to play a game, I'd be like, "What the fuck is this? Why would they do this?" So I'm more biased toward what Lawrence said.
That's actually really interesting. Maybe it's based on which controller you start with is how you move the analog sticks. Because I've always used I didn't realize it. I always use the pad of my thumb as opposed to it looks like Lawrence uses the tips. Like he has this arched kind of look. And I think with the N64 controller, it was like ridged in a way that if you had used the tips,
it wouldn't work.
It wouldn't work.
Yeah.
You had to kind of
it wouldn't work.
Like, use the pad of your thumb and kind of roll it around the sides in order to get grip.
Yeah, you're right, because the PS3 are convex analogs. They're domed, So it doesn't really make sense for you to drop the tips of your thumbs on them. It's meant for you to roll the thumbs around, which means that the tips of your thumbs are going to smush together over the middle.
Yeah.
Huh.
But I mean, Lawrence being the gamer that he is, I'm sure he played a ton of games on the N64 controller. So what made you make the switch from N64 using your thumb pad to the tip of your thumb? Like, do you remember why you did that, or if you did it?
That's a good question. I don't remember when or how that migration occurred. I do remember that with the DS and the DS Lite, I did have a problem where if I wrapped my hands around the sides, that my thumbs would not naturally hit any of the buttons. I would have to use like my knuckles.
Yeah.
So I remember with that, I would get used to like I would use my pinkies to like cradle it, and then I had to basically like angle my fingers down on top and let the like console float in my hands as opposed to just master gorilla gripping it. So that may have had an effect. What I find fascinating is like DualShock 1 to DualShock 2. First-person shooters were there, but around like PS2 era, they were starting to take off as a mainline genre. But I think the DualShock design was for games that were either D-pad heavy or didn't really lean on analog sticks, and now they're kind of like standard in most games. So it's still weird to me that they make the D-pad the like default control thing on the left side of the controller. Maybe it's a copyright issue. Maybe they just can't make the same layout that other controllers do, or this is the copyright they have, so they're going to use it. I don't know. It's just strange to me that like as first-person shooters have grown in importance, I think that's kind of changed the layout of controllers too, which leads to the dual stick control, which makes the PS4 controller make a little more sense. But
yeah,
I don't know.
I don't know. It's interesting because it feels like people made that migration, like you, Lawrence. You did it on your own, but Criken and I never did. And I don't know why we didn't. I can't figure out why. So
I mean, it doesn't matter.
It does matter to Lawrence when the new one comes out. I can't play it now.
I mean, you can. You'll just rub your thumbos together sometimes.
Yeah. Personally, I didn't like the controller design that much because the first time I saw it wasn't revealed on whatever they revealed it on. It was on Twitter with all the pictures of it being a bikini, a cropped bikini. And now I can't not see that.
Wait,
and
what?
I just think of it as the bikini controller. All right, go back. I'll ruin your day.
Yeah. I mean, it already looks...
Go back where?
To pull it up to see the controller.
Okay, hold on.
The just the design of it, the fact that it's two-tone, like...
Is there a... Should I search something?
It will never blend into anything.
Big image. I mean, I'll describe the
Oh, I
visual
see it.
to you.
I see it. Yes.
Wait,
I see it now.
No, just pull up an image of it.
Oh, I see what
little
you're saying.
stripes.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's either the top straps or you can even think of it
gosh.
as the bottom crotch. It's like the visual proportion and the angle of it makes it very much seem like it is just a bikini. It's either a bikini or a tank top that is being worn by a controller person, and
They're not good. They're not good shapes. I hate to get so negative about it because I don't want to seem like I'm overtly shilling for Microsoft, even though I think their controller and interface game has been ridiculously good the last 10 years. What I think about is like, if you have that in your living room, it's going to stand out no matter what it's on or what it's around because it's the two opposite colors combined, and there's no way to not do that. So if it's on a black entertainment center, the white's going to pop. If it's on white, the black's going to pop. And there's nothing that makes it look like it's ever going to blend into your electronics. I know that matte black has, everything's been that for a long time. So that's, I get the need to kind of look different, but to me it looks like it's trying way too hard to be loud, visually loud. And I don't get that. I don't understand. After so many good years of understated design and just matte black controllers that look like they would fit in an entertainment center with other electronics equipment. Then there's this thing that looks like a weird PC case from 2008 with LED lights and everything.
Do you think they're gonna?
I mean, it might be going for the whole oh, you have a PS5 because you got this, fucking glowy controller in the corner of your TV system.
Also, is the PS5 gonna be white? There's no way, right?
I mean, that's what people are wondering.
No way.
God, I hope not.
There's no way
if they're going to do the two-tone with the console too and accent lights, like the current PS4 has accent lights and LED stripes and stuff. They're pretty subtle though, and they at least convey information. But man, if they do this like two-tone console thing, is that what the aesthetic of 2020 is going to look like? Is it actually going to look like millennial era sci-fi, like iRobot shit? Is that what we're moving into?
I think we forgoed aesthetics when we all locked ourselves in. I don't think there's going to be any.
It doesn't matter.
Aesthetic.
Yeah, it doesn't matter anymore.
The aesthetic is sweatpants.
By the way, I for the record,
shorts, Criken.
I see people in my chat being like, "You don't like it?" And I'm like, "No, I actually really like it a lot. I think it's cool." So, the controller design.
Bruce is famous for having bad opinions.
That's right. That's all I do.
About?
All I have is bad.
Game of Thrones.
That's right.
No, Bruce is the most right out of all of us.
I'm sorry.
Bruce is the only one in touch with the common man.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I love things too much. Apparently, I'm not allowed to like things, but you know.
The proletariat opinion. He enjoys all form of entertainment, regardless of its merit.
Criken is the bourgeoisie, and by the way, I'd rather not be the bourgeoisie in this scenario because you know what happens to the bourgeoisie, right?
Yeah, we get our heads chopped off.
Yeah.
Bruce,
We
you're
get
absolutely not.
more
Criken and
money.
I are.
You get more money until you die. No, but I actually
must all go eventually.
I really like it. Because to me it was different. So like that's immediately what because I was like, oh, that's neat because it's different. But now I'm worried that the entire thing's going to be white, and that might be a little weird.
That's a good point. It is unique.
Yeah,
I love unique. Maybe I love it too.
I don't know.
I don't feel strongly about it. I just think it at a first glance it looks weird. If I had it, I don't like the ergonomic design of it because of the finger bumping thing, and that's enough for me to not like it. So
yeah. I agree with Criken though about the design. I don't think they're ever going to change it, but every time I see a new controller from PlayStation, I'm always like, damn, those analogs are right next to each other. So, but they're never going to change it. That's their design. So that's no big deal.
Yeah, in terms of design, it doesn't seem like, or in terms of like engineering, because I scoured through the PlayStation blog post, hoping to find some reason that the controller was laid out that way, and didn't really see anything. The nearest thing I could find was the haptic feedback stuff they're putting in. So it sounds like they're putting in little rumble motors all along the handles of the controller.
That's cool.
that's cool.
So that might be what's leading to that giant plastic shell along the sides, so that it makes it a little bit easier to assemble if you're packing in a bunch of rumble motors around the sides. But and that sounds cool, I guess. I mean, Xbox One controllers at the launch of the One had the haptic triggers, which was neat for the 3 games that use them. So it's cool that they're moving down that path, but that's kind of it.
Yeah.
In terms of new tech goodies, the Series X has that negative or reduced lag interface that sounds kind of neat. I'm kind of into that.
What's that?
They basically are reworking the way that the controller not necessarily sends inputs, but the way that the console receives controller interrupt is that I would have to read it again to really remember the nuts and bolts of the tech, but essentially they're trying to make it so that games can process inputs a couple of frames earlier than they do right now.
Really?
Which is kind of neat. It's possible the PS5 is doing that as well. Yeah. It's something like the game states are ready for the buttons to be hit, so when they are hit, it can make that change instead of waiting to process the input after it lands.
Oh, that's cool.
Something along that line. I can't quite remember, but some of the and hey, praise God, the DualSense has a USB-C port.
It does?
Jesus Christ, yeah.
Oh, that's great.
It's still an internal battery, which I know that a lot of people like the cleanliness of an internal battery, but I also really hate plugging in my PS4 controller every 4 hours looking for a micro USB cord to do it.
I read an article about that because it's funny. I use an Xbox controller mainly if I'm using any controller at all, and it's usually for Netflix. So my batteries always die, and I fucking hate it. I'm always like, I gotta go buy fucking batteries. You gotta be kidding me. Why can't I plug this thing in and charge it? And then I read the other perspective from you, and actually other
playing charge kit.
Yeah, well, exactly. I could play or have to go buy something else. So it's I also bought. By the way, I bought a bunch of rechargeable batteries expressly for the purpose of putting in my Xbox. And guess what? They're all dead. They don't work anymore. All the rechargeable batteries they don't hold a charge for more than 10 minutes. They're all trash. They're Duracell, and they're total trash. So it's one of those things where I was like, damn it, I wish I could plug my controller in. But then you just said it, Lawrence, and other people have talked about it too. It's like, well, then you got to plug it in every 4 hours or whatever. And you're totally right. You're totally right about that. So
It's the most heated I think I've heard Bruce in a long time.
I don't get heated very often. When it comes to those fucking rechargeable batteries that I bought, they never fucking work.
That's weird. I got like Amazon brand rechargeables, and I've been using the same set for like the last 2 years.
No, mine will not hold a charge.
That's
Here, hold on. I'll get them for you right now.
Yeah, please, yeah. Let's see them. Let's see those shitty ass batteries. Damn, dude. Yeah, for me, it's always just made more sense to either get a battery pack, which I get. It's like it feels like you're getting nickel and dimed if you have to buy a controller and another thing. But oh yeah, he's getting them. Yeah, they're right there. Damn, Bruce has been working out. Get a little bit of that backside there.
Look at this. All right, so it's these little guys here. They're Duracells. Oh yeah, you can't see them on your guys' side, I don't think. But they're Duracell, like they're just Duracell rechargeable. They're nice Duracells. And I bought these off Amazon with like the little kit that plugs them in, and it's a Duracell charger and everything, and they don't work. They had never worked. They're trash. And I feel terrible because I don't want to like ruin the environment, you know? Like I want to recharge batteries and not have to keep doing, using the one-time use batteries. So they're trash.
Yeah, well, I mean, your motivation was in the right place. It just sucks that it didn't work out.
Yeah.
Because I've got a rechargeable bank and some. I bought like 20 batteries off Amazon for $12, and I've been using those for years and years. So yeah, I don't. I'm sorry to hear that. Also, I guess Duracell's not going to be sponsoring this podcast anymore.
I'll have to buy. I mean, who knows? Maybe I just bought the wrong. Like maybe they're refurbished or something. But you said the Amazon rechargeables are good.
I mean, they've been working really well for me.
Okay.
I know that we always used Eneloop stuff back at Funhouse. So
yeah,
I don't know how expensive those are though.
I'll look into it because these are just. I'm gonna have to throw them away, guys. I'm sorry.
Man,
This is a bit of a left
don't
turn,
apologize
but
to me.
I had a really big discovery on my stream last night, and I wanted to share it with you guys.
Please.
Please do.
Are you all familiar with the Knuckles songs?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, Knuckles the Echidna in the Sonic games. Specifically, there's a song from Sonic Adventure Battle 2 called I think Desert Canyon, or is it Dust Canyon or something like that. It's one of the stages battles, and it starts off where it's the lyrics are just crazy because he calls Rouge the Bat sexy and says
What?
Is one of the lyrics. So the lyrics I always thought was insane.
Okay.
And it starts off with a phrase or a word that I never understood. It goes Echidna, and then he starts like rapping. And for the life of us, we heard the song many, many times because I'm playing a playthrough where I play as Knuckles and the rest of the Sonic gang, and I keep playing the song. And we could never figure out what he's saying until eventually someone said he's trying to pronounce Echidna.
Yep.
He says
And
Echidna?
we were like, yeah, and I'm like, that is as far from how you pronounce Echidna as possible. And then 5 hours later in the stream, when hearing it again, someone else said, that's actually the Japanese pronunciation of Echidna.
Oh.
It's Echidna. And then the rest of the rap, I mean, is just, normal English. So once that happened, it blew my mind, and it now I like the song. So just wanted to share that with you guys.
Now you like the song. So just because, so it sounds like the person that was singing the song maybe doesn't know English very well and was told.
Rapper. It was.
They were just saying Echidna in the Japanese
It's a
pronunciation.
reference.
It was either a reference or it was a translation that didn't translate, or it was a direction from the developers on how it should be pronounced, or it rhymed. It didn't. The thing is, it doesn't rhyme with the rest of the sentence, so it's not like it had to be pronounced Echidna. It's just a weird opening. It just Echidna, and then it goes into like the rest of the rap. I don't know. I encourage everyone to go look it up on their own. It is a weird song for the lyrics alone, but at least we have solved that part of the mystery. That Echidna is Echidna in Japanese pronunciation.
The Japanese pronunciation of Echidna. Well, now I know, and I will take that knowledge with me to the grave. Or I'll only have it in my brain for the next 10 minutes. It's probably about right, and then I won't remember it ever again.
Well, I encourage you to share it with as many people as you can in those 10 minutes because I had feared the same, and then I found myself returned to it now in this moment, and I felt the need to share before it left again. So
Criken, can I, now that you're not Robot Voice anymore, I want to ask you, number one, I think I'm addicted to Bannerlord because I haven't played it every day, but I'm constantly thinking about it because I want to take over.
I gotta use the restroom. I'll be right back.
Okay, yeah, because I want to take over the entire, what is it, the entire area of, was it Calradia?
Calradia.
Calradia.
Yes.
I want to take over Calradia. Is that possible? Number one, is it possible to take over the whole of Calradia?
Yep.
Okay. And then number two, at this point, I've gotten to a point where I can get my party to about 80 people. What's the max size of party that I can get in Bannerlord?
I don't know if there is a max. It is determined by your renown, which then factors into your clan size. So based on your clan number is how many people you can recruit. But then it also is derived from your stewardship and leadership skills.
Right.
And that's the tricky one because both of those don't like are in a tree that don't support most of the other game. So you basically have to keep putting points into a thing that you probably don't have a high skill in naturally.
So for some reason, when I started the game, I put a lot of points into stewardship and leadership because I was like, hey, you know what? I want to do this because I feel like I'm not a very good fighter, but I feel like I can lead my men. So that's what I did.
Good advantage.
Oh, great. Okay, good.
So yeah, that skill is ranked up by specific acts. Leadership's really hard to get up. Stewardship, you get up literally by having a variety of food in your party. And
yes, yeah.
It has to be just different types of food. And if you have enough of that, you'll gain stewardship experience every single day, to the point where mine is maxed out pretty much on my save. And with the tweak mod that I use, it rebalances how stewardship and leadership factors into your party size. So right now I think I'm at like warband level or clan level 5, I think 4 or 5.
Yeah.
And we have like 230 max troop size.
Oh wow. Okay.
Or 240. Yeah. So, I can take on most armies by myself, which has been a really fun step towards the goal you described, being able to take on anything, because you can always outsmart the AI if you're good at commanding troops and have good, strong troops. It's just a matter of, do you have the numbers that can then back that up?
Yep.
And you kind of need those skills in order to get that.
Lawrence, you gotta play Bannerlord, Lawrence. I really think you'd like it a lot. I think it's kind of right up your alley.
I definitely would. It's the kind of game I haven't played in a long time. Problem is, there's a lot of competition for my gaming hour rights right now.
There is, yeah. You're right.
Luckily, Resident Evil 3 is at least a little bit short, but Final Fantasy VII's coming out. We've waited.
I can't wait.
We've waited.
I can't wait.
To return to Midgar and spend time with our beautiful anime wives. Oh, man. I'm really, really excited.
I'm going to say this again, but I'll say this probably 1,000 times during the first stream of Final Fantasy for me. I've never played it. I've never played any Final Fantasy game, ever. So don't backseat me, all right? You can. If I ask you for help me. But don't sit there.
I've never played it either.
Don't be like, Bruce, how did you not know that blank does blank? And I'm like, because I don't know that.
There's not a lot of backseating to be done in 7 Remake. It's a different kind of game.
So for someone that has never played it either, I feel it's difficult for me to want to play and to jump in now. I know this is like probably the best game for me to try, because it's like everyone's telling me it's like the best Final Fantasy game there was, and then it's been remade. But I feel like there's such a gap of knowledge. It's kind of like the Kingdom Hearts problem, right? Where it's like there's such a gap of fan base and lore and everything that, to jump in now, even if I had any curiosity, I feel like I'm just at the disadvantage of, a decade of fandom. So is there any words you would have for a potential new player that would make me feel better?
Sure. That's super valid and 100% understandable. The thing that's difficult to communicate and to some degree doesn't even stick, even if you can, is that each game is wholly distinct. The difference with this game is it is a remake. I don't think there's ever been a Final Fantasy remake before. There's been re-releases and like HD versions and stuff. I guess no. Wait, Final Fantasy 3 on DS. Like in the weeds, whatever. It doesn't matter. if you want to play it, just play it by yourself in a vacuum. There's no knowledge of the original game that's required to enjoy the remake. And I guess just full disclosure, I actually did get a review copy of it, so I have put at least about 20 hours into it. 7 Remake does have a ton of acknowledgments and references to the original, but they're not references that require knowledge of the original to understand. It's mostly just like a pat on the back for anyone who knows that it was there. So I think the problem is more in the form of the storytelling. There is a form of storytelling that is super popular in certain circles where it's not really rooted in like a very grounded human drama. There is some elements of that there, but it's mostly like airy anime stuff going on. I throw back to this a lot because it really clicked in for me when I read it. But Neil Gaiman, I think, was doing the localization on a Studio Ghibli movie. And he referred to something about Japanese storytelling as like I think he called it the factor, where a lot of Japanese stories will intentionally confuse you and tee up a bunch of stuff that doesn't make sense. And it'll even end without answering most of those questions. And for the Japanese audience, they will then go back and watch it again to try to make sense of it. And it's actually a storytelling hook to encourage more content consumption. Whereas Western audiences will go, I didn't understand that. And they'll just walk away and call it stupid.
Yeah.
So it depends whether or not you're okay with there being some fuzziness to the storytelling, and certainly in regards to like character interactions and things like that. Because Tetsuya Nomura did direct the remake, I think, or at least wrote the story for it. And Final Fantasy is a series. This is too in the weeds again. There have basically like been different chapters being directed by different people. And some of those people had much more kind of direct, more Western-style storytelling. Tetsuya Nomura, very, very much in the Japanese-style Kingdom Hearts style. So I don't know that you need existing knowledge of the series, but 7 Remake, stylistically, may not appeal to you just by the virtue of its storytelling and the way it tries to tell a story instead of characters. But in terms of your like perceived intimidation about getting into this whole thing, it's not really a whole thing aside from Final Fantasy VII having a bunch of millennial-era superfans because it was probably one of the first games they played like that.
Yep.
That was kind of the way it was for a lot of friends that I had. I had just gotten into Final Fantasy just before it. So I'm not trying to be hipster. It's more like I feel like I don't necessarily have the exact same investment in the game that a lot of other people do because it wasn't necessarily the first game I played like that. I've also played it recently, and the story in there has got some pretty major holes and is not told super well. I don't know. I feel like it was mostly the music and the art style that really hit people about that game. And to some degree, those things are still very present, very strong in the remake. So I guess it really comes down to just giving you permission to be totally ignorant of all of that stuff and approach this game like any other. You don't need any kind of bank of knowledge about Final Fantasy VII in particular or Final Fantasy as a series to appreciate it. And that's true of any Final Fantasy. It's just really down to like what your flavor is and what your preferences are.
I was interested in Final Fantasy as a kid, but again, I didn't have a PlayStation, so never really played those games. But I did see like the movie in theaters.
Oh boy.
Yeah, I went and saw that movie in theaters because I was like, hey, I really want to get into this. I'm really curious. And then the movie, whatever, it wasn't bad, but it also kind of apparently it did not embody the spirit of Final Fantasy that a lot of people said, because a lot of people that love Final Fantasy said it didn't. And I walked out of it being like, sure, like whatever. I didn't hate it. So that's what I'm hoping is to be exposed to this in the right way with Final Fantasy VII, because it looks really cool and interesting to me. I'm very excited about it. I just don't want to be like told, oh, you're doing everything wrong, when it's like, but it's a video game. Why? How can I do something wrong? The
aspects of, I'm trying to think of a way that somebody could tell you you're doing it wrong. I really am. And the internet never ceases to surprise me with its ability to critique.
Yeah. Don't get me started, man. That has become the bane of my existence on this website. Is like
just backseating in general.
Well, I like playing the fool. I don't know if this is maybe taking out away the veil for a moment, but I like playing the fool a lot when I do streams because it allows me to kind of play into bits a lot better and be a lot more, like feign ignorance and stuff, and I just enjoy that role. But then people take that too seriously sometimes, and then assume that I'm incapable of basic things or need guidance through basic things. And then when there's a game that I'm good at, like, you know, Bannerlord, I find myself making decisions without, like, verbalizing what I'm doing all the time, because I just know how to play the game, and if I were to stop for every micro decision I'm making, then it would be a very boring and long stream. And then there was a point a couple nights ago where it was super late. Everyone else had stopped streaming Bannerlord, so I was, like, you know, one of the only ones in the directory, or one of the top ones in the directory at least. And we got a lot of new viewers that started advising me on little things that I knew were wrong, and I didn't know. I was getting really flustered because they were like, hey, you can actually couch with a lance if you press X.
Oh, yeah.
Well, yes, I know that, but I'm also using a spear, so I can't do that. And also, it doesn't fit the build that I'm doing right now, so thank you very much. And there's just, like, so many different little things, and it was starting to get to me. So I fear playing games that have established audiences that I'm new at, because then it becomes like the
Yep.
Okay.
You know,
then yes, you have something to fear.
Yeah.
So let me. I have a lot of thoughts on this, because I think currently, right now, our climate in the entire world is more negative than it normally is, because of what's going on. I have noticed more negativity on the internet, and I'm not saying, like, this is just in general. I'm not talking about just Twitch or whatever. This is all over. You know, Twitter, Instagram, everything that I could look at. I've noticed more negativity, because I think, honestly, there's a lot of bad shit happening to people in real life, and it's bleeding over into the internet. So, on the one hand, it's like, hey, let's all try to be more forgiving to people, but on the other hand, know that when you're being mean to somebody on the internet, or if, like, whatever, you're tweeting someone and you're being a dick to a stranger, you're still being a dick to a stranger. I'm sorry that you have bad things happening to you, but try not to take it out on the people, a stranger or people that you love or whatever. So I just think that there's a lot of that right now. So so now is a sort of a weird time, Criken, because I've noticed the same thing. I've noticed a lot more of that, and I don't, you know, I want to call attention to it, because it's like, hey, we're all here, kind of going through, you know, different things, but also the same thing, and I want everybody to be aware. There's a social consciousness here, and I'm sorry. Yeah. I'm sorry. You know,
I think that's a nice approach, and I should practice more at that, of, you know, giving benefit of the doubt.
It's hard. It's hard. It's really hard.
It's just kind of, I think the approach of it I want to start trying to get better at is, like, welcoming them into, yes, I know you're trying to help, or you're trying to feel good about yourself, and things are tough, but, like, I'm also doing the same. So let's try to
meet in the middle. Yeah, meet in the middle.
Yeah.
So I don't know. It's
that whole dynamic is fascinating to me, because I know what it feels like I feel like there's two dynamics to it. One is, and this is the thing I think is going to happen a lot with 7 and jumping into people streaming 7 Remake, is that you'll want to share your passion about Final Fantasy 7, or probably at this point your deep nostalgia about it, and in a way that almost becomes a weird vetting process test, and can almost border on backseating, where, like, you're gonna hammer the streamer with questions about the characters and how much they know, and whether or not you feel like they're one of you, as somebody who, you know, grew up playing Final Fantasy 7 or something like that. And I feel like that can turn weird, where you go out there trying to identify with like-minded people that are super into the game.
Yep.
And that turns into a form of backseating. Or, like in the Bannerlord situation, I think it's you just want to be part of the conversation, or you want to contribute something of value, but you don't. That's kind of where the vetting process stops for what comes out of your mouth. And I'm saying you here, I should say me, because I've done this so much. And in retrospect, I learned, I don't know when I learned, that that's not the right way to interact with people, of just shotgunning anything in your brain at them and hoping that something's valuable, because they interpret it differently.
Yes,
so, yeah, if you go into a Bannerlord stream and you know about spears, and you see somebody using a spear, and you're like, I have identified a manner in which I can be useful right now, and I can engage with this streamer in a way where I can share information that I have that they may not. It doesn't really read like that, especially when I think the critical assumption is that when you do that, you're putting it out there that you assume the other person doesn't have the same level of knowledge you do, when in fact they may have more. Yeah. So that's the dynamic that I try to remember when somebody's doing that I don't want to say to me, but behaving that way in chat. It's like I try to remind myself they're just trying to connect and communicate. And as long as it doesn't get outright to somebody saying you're doing it wrong, do it my way, then it's still, I think, honest if not misguided attempts to share information and I think to also have this bank of information that you feel like is valuable to suddenly have value. That's what it was a lot for me, is like I would play tons and tons of video games and I get this useless encyclopedic knowledge about it all. And I would be so excited if I got even a little bit close to a scenario where that information would be useful to somebody, because then I could feel like I didn't waste all those years. But yeah, it doesn't really play that way. And I feel like it's an aspect of being comfortable with yourself and also being comfortable knowing something and maybe not saying it out loud all the time.
Yeah.
Or phrasing it in a certain way.
Yeah, I saw somebody in your chat, Lawrence, be like, "Hey, negativity on the internet's nothing new," and they're totally right. I've just noticed more of it, and it's just, and I'm like, it was very clear to me right away why, because we're all going through a global pandemic right now. Like we're all doing our best to sort of live our lives relatively normally, but the shit's impeding on every single thing we do, and it's very, and like, you know, a lot of us are in really, really tough times. And I hope that everybody knows that everybody's going through tough times. Everybody has their families going through tough times. It's just something to be aware of. We're all in this together. I'm not going to sing that stupid song, but really truthfully, we are. So
Sing Imagine. That'll make everyone feel better.
yeah, yeah, right, exactly. No, I'm not saying to do that. Like, donate to charities and stuff like that. That will help. But anyways,
that's Criken, that whole, like, you can press X to do this. The thing that I like to think I'm pretty impervious to trolling, and I'm going to put it out there right now, though. The one way you can get under my skin is to, if I'm playing a game, like at the highest difficulty, to just chip in a little tip about basic game mechanics. Those are my favorite. Of like, I played this game for 60 hours, and then somebody's like, "Oh, you didn't pick up that health pack." I'm like, yeah.
yeah, I know.
You're right. I forgot that health packs give me health, which prevent me from dying.
Yeah, like when really I didn't pick it up so that I could double back in the level in case I, faced the worst enemy higher, like further along.
Yeah.
Like you had this whole thing planned out, and they're just like as simple as like, you missed that, streamer, go back, you missed it.
I've really tried to reinforce in my own brain that, like, and this is actually an interesting question, and I know we're at time, so maybe we got to bank this up for next week. But
yeah.
do you guys think, or where do you guys feel like the reasonable expectation is that if you're streaming, you're putting yourself out there? I feel like implicit in that is the assumption that you are soliciting engagement or interaction of any kind. So I feel like to some degree it's like if somebody's busking or they're like playing a guitar in a street corner, it's kind of some amount of interactivity is acceptable there, but to roll up and be like, "Oh, your guitar's out of tune," or like you really buffed that one chord. Let me show you how to do it. Like that obviously crosses a line, I would think. But where does that line exist on Twitch of like helpful suggestions versus rolling up to somebody and the first thing you have to say to them is an implied critique about what they're doing?
Well, Lawrence, what you said is important because you talk about on the street, that's not anonymous. And on Twitch, it's anonymous. So it's completely different because this person can roll in and be like, "You didn't press X to couch your lands," and then bail. You'll never see him again. Right?
Yeah, the response you give is on deaf ears because they left the stream as soon as they gave their advice. Like very, very possible.
Yeah.
My take is that it's a different line that is drawn by each individual channel and streamer. So you kind of set your comfort zone, your boundaries, how much you're willing to, accept advice versus I don't want to hear any advice at all. I think there is a kind of like a common decency level that should be, the default, and then each streamer is kind of more or less depending on who they are. But the common decency is like try not to tell someone how to do their job, unless they ask for it.
No, you're right. I've seen a lot of people in my chat say that. They come in and they go, "Hey, is it cool if I offer suggestions?" And I love that. It's so polite.
Yeah.
And usually I go, "Absolutely. If you have any suggestions, like if you're going to be polite like that all the time, go for it." tell me like, hey man, maybe aim for the head. I'm like, yeah, dude, I know, man. I'm really trying to hit their head, but I can't always hit their head. But I do appreciate the polite suggestions versus the press X to couch Lance.
I'm really trying to think of what form that's going to take for 7 Remake.
I don't know,
because I know that people are probably going to come in like it's going to be. I feel like instead of critiquing your gameplay, which there will be people who do that, and that's going to be kind of insufferable because there's a lot to do in 7 in the battle system. There's a lot to manage mentally and a lot of orders to assign and a lot of shit to do. So people will probably tell you that you're not casting lightning enough or something like that. That might get grating. But what I think Criken, to kind of what you were asking about, I think the more aggravating thing is it's going to be like having 100 friends constantly elbow you in the ribs while you're watching a movie, being like, "Ooh, look at this part. This is the good part."
Oh yeah, yeah.
Just let me see the anime. I think there's going to be an element of that, of everybody being like, "Oh, they changed this," and then they'll start like throwing out lines from the original, being like, "Oh, but it could mean this and it could mean that," and they're like linking wikis and all this stuff. So there may be a desire to get you as into it as they are, and that will take the form of just getting told that something's really, really awesome all the time. Maybe. I don't know. It'll be fun to see. It'll be fun to see what the vibe is.
Lawrence, I was going to say, if you want to watch, tune in on Friday, because that'll be me.
Excellent.
Getting.
I'll probably be hitting it too, but
getting back.
I'm excited. I'm super, super excited to see what you think about it, Bruce, because it's probably pretty far away from games you typically enjoy.
I played the demo and really enjoyed the demo, except that I got negged off. I got negged off the internet. So I was like, never mind. Yeah, what? I didn't put the video up on YouTube because I was like, nope, I don't want any comments about how I didn't do blank right or whatever. So
so people are actually like critiquing your gameplay?
100%, yeah.
Oh boy.
Just because I've never played it. So it's like, and so it's going to be the same on Friday. Like if I play it and everybody's cool, and like I have a really good experience, I'll continue playing it. But if I don't, I won't. So
okay, that's because the battle system of 7 actually could open itself up to a ton of unsolicited critique.
Oh, absolutely.
Because the demo is like, you played the demo. It's complicated enough. You're switching between characters and trying to hit a weak point and stagger an enemy and all this stuff. The fights get even more mechanically complicated than that. So
yeah, I want to. The thing is I really want to learn it and try it because I really enjoyed it, but getting in just like it's one of those things that I'm not. It's not like I'm threatening Twitch or whatever. Like they don't care if I play it or not. But it's more of just like I'm not going to.
So here's another. I keep extending out, Bruce. How do you feel about making it sport of just burning them up? Anybody in chat who's coming in with a little like unsolicited. I guess you probably don't want to turn it negative even.
Well, generally I can.
Even for sport. But,
generally, so like people in Apex, I can. I played enough Apex. I know what to do. If someone's like,
gotcha.
Did you know that Bloodhound's ability will find people in the building? I'm like, yes, man. I played 150 hours of the game. Like, yes, of course I did. But like if they're coming in with Final Fantasy VII stuff, I don't know. I'm not sure if something is or isn't right. And oftentimes a lot of people in chat will disagree with the person that suggested something. So it's like, who knows? Sorry, I know that we're way over. Just really quick. I got backseated for Valorant. All day I got backseated for Valorant. They had never played the game, guys. They had never touched the video game, and I got backseated. And I was like, how are you backseating a game that's a closed beta to only specific streamers? I was like, what? What is going? It's, by the way, Turbid, not salt. This isn't salt, guys. I'm not salty at all. It's hilarious. It blows my mind. And I said that. I called him out. On the stream. I was like, how are you backseating me on a video game you've never touched? And that shut him up. That was enough to be like, okay, I get it.
That actually worked? Oh, geez.
Yeah, most people were like.
Usually when you do that, they bring out their briefcase, pop the latches, and like drop a resume on your desk.
Actually, 500 hours in CS:GO, 200 hours in Overwatch.
No, yeah, it was just, and it actually worked because they don't have an answer. You don't have an answer for that. You didn't play the game. How could you tell me what to do? I don't know. It's hilarious. Whatever. Anyways, sorry. I don't want to have the last word on this. But if you guys are done, I'm good. I'm good to end too.
No, you can have the last word.
Okay. Yeah, you got it, Bruce.
Okay,
that's it.
All right. All right, guys. Well, well, thanks for that. Thanks for watching. Yeah, I'll be interested to see how Final Fantasy turns out for me. I'm really excited about it.
Whew.
So,
You guys be nice to Bruce. This is his chance to get in to experience anime.
If you, I mean, look,
Don't ruin it
if
for
you gatekeep me, I'm gone. That'll be it. Like, I'm just not going to do it anymore. So it'll be that. Be like Criken, who's like, come play Bannerlord, and he's like suggesting things for me and being nice to me when I want to play his game, versus Final Fantasy, if you shit all over me. I'm like, why would I ever play this game again? I'm not gonna. Why would I do that?
Yeah, welcome, if you're a fan of the game, welcome new fans into the game.
Yeah.
With, like, this is what I loved about it. And, you can share your story without telling them how they should, experience their story.
Yeah, exactly. All right. Yeah, thanks for watching. And I'll end the recording right here. Bye, everybody.
Same.
Bye, everybody.